What's happening, boys and girls? How the devil are we? Shanksy here, and today we've got a Raid Shadow Legends video for you. We are going to be taking a little look at the Spider's Den and covering absolutely everything you need to know about it to get yourself on that Spider's grind, hopefully in time for the tournament coming out real soon. I think it's tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, at time of filming this video. So, without further ado, intro. Right then, boys and girls, before we get into this one, guys, we're going to have a look at the Spider at different levels. Predominantly 12 and 20 are going to be the ones that I'm focusing on because the idea behind them changes quite drastically after 12. So before stage 12, really all you want to be doing is going in there with big heavy hitters, AoEs, left, right and center, and a little bit of survivability, and you're going to take down the Spider relatively quickly. Now, in order to show that, I'm going to actually use a team that I haven't even really built up for stage 12. Now, this is where you can start getting 4 to 5 star artifacts, and it's a decent level at stage 12. Now, all of these champions are level 60. They're fully ascended. The only one that's actually, I think, fully geared is going to be Skull Crown, but Skull Crown is not necessarily needed at all. Anyone that's got an AoE will pretty much do the job. Bella is actually really solid in here. There's loads of people that are really solid. Now, what you are looking for is ideally someone like Haikatoon to speed up your team a little bit. War Maiden or Dagger for an AoE defense down. These are both rare champions, guys, and Haikatoon obviously being your daily reward. Arminger, when he's built, is actually phenomenal for this this dungeon because he's got that turn meter control. Now, unfortunately, I don't have him built up at the moment, and I don't really have the silver to put into him right now. Kale, starting champion, and anyone with a big AoE, such as Skull Crown, ideally, lovely. But if you don't have a Skull Crown, honestly, any of the starter champions, loads of different rares, anyone with an AoE really will do the job. Basilisk. I'm literally trying to think of all these different champions for these AoEs, but they will do the job, right? So we're going to go into this and we're going to start talking about the Spider originally. Now, the Spider boss is the Spider Queen, and she has a number of summons. She can have anywhere up to 10 Spiderlings at a single time. Every time a champion is about to have a go, she will bring down 2 more Spiderlings. Now, before stage 12 and before, your big thing is to actually smash down these Spiderlings as quick as humanly possible. Ideally, while controlling her turn meter. When she goes, what her first skill is going to do is she's going to attack all enemies, fully decreasing the turn meter by 30%. If the target's turn meter is fully depleted, she's going to put them to sleep. She's also got a heal, guys, on a fairly quick cooldown where she's going to consume all of the Spiderlings left alive. That's why we want to really do AoE damage to nuke these Spiderlings down, because when it gets to the time that she's going to consume all the Spiderlings, if they're all dead, it doesn't really matter too much, right? She's got nothing that she's going to heal for, because she's going to heal for 3% of her max health for each Spiderling eaten up. Now, if she's got 10 down and she heals, that's 30% healing of her max health. And that's a big old health bar to get through, guys. So you cannot put heal reduction on her. She receives less damage from poison. She's immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, block cooldowns, fear, and true fear. All of the stuff the normal bosses are thing. So what we're going to do is basically pre-stage 12, defense down, weaken if we can, nuke, and literally just try and blow up the Spider as quick as humanly possible. As you can see, with these guys, this should be done and dusted by now, right? It should be done and dusted, but as I said at the start, they just don't have any gear on them. So this will go through, and you're going to see Skull Crown do the most damage because she's got an AoE on every single one of her hits. But Kale, who's a starting champion, again, not fully geared, is going to be very close behind. In fact, Kale is actually 1.5 to Skull Crown's 1.4. So Kale, the starting champion, is MVP for this particular fight. So what do we do once we've got past the AoE nukes? You know, what do we do once all of a sudden them Spiderlings aren't dying every single turn? Now, there's a couple of different strategies for this. Let's have a look at the first one. So for this strategy, guys, we have gone for the negative affinity tank. Now, what this requires is a big healing champion. Miscreated Monster, Sir Nick, anyone that can put down big shields is absolutely a must for this. What we're going to basically be doing is using Razin as a negative affinity tank for stage 20. Now, what you do is change that depending on what stage you're trying to do on the affinity. So if it's force affinity, you want to use a magic champion, magic affinity, you want to use a spirit champion, and so on, to make sure that you are always got one weak player on the team, so the spiders are going to target that player regardless. So we're going to use that negative affinity tank. Then we're going to use 2 cold hearts in this case. Ideally, a cold heart and an Arminger would work out absolutely fine. Probably better, in all fairness, for actually reducing the turn meter. And then we've got Tyrell there for the decreased defense. Now, again, we could rely on Razin's decreased defense, but I'd rather have a player in here. So as you can see, the general theory for this, and it's going to be about a 2-minute run, guys. We'll probably cut towards the end, but you'll see basically Razin's going to go. If he gets a strong hit, lovely. We get decreased defense and weaken down. If he doesn't, so be it, such is life. We still get some hits. Now, when these spiders eventually start going, because we can't kill them all at once, they are going to be targeting Razin. But that's okay, because Miscreated Monster has whacked down absolutely massive shields on top of Razin. So he's going to be able to, in lifesteal gear, keep himself alive while the rest of these guys deal the damage. Now, again, the reason why I said an Arminger would be absolutely fine in this spot is because an Arminger is actually going to be more reliable on keeping the turn meter down rather than a cold heart cycling down on a 4-turn cooldown. But on the flip side of that, cold heart does bring an awful lot more damage in the first instance. So all we're going to be doing, guys, is waiting for these spiders to drop down and cycling this through, where Miscreated Monster is going to be keeping his shields up, Razin's going to hopefully be keeping his health topped up with life still, and the spiderlings are going to carry on attacking over to Razin because he's the weak affinity. So we'll cut to the end of this run and then we'll discuss the other options. So as you can see on that one, Razin took the brunt of the damage. Didn't really put out a lot of offense, but he did put that decreased defense down and that weaken down. We had Tyrell there as a backup just in case. And then the 2 cold hearts really brought a huge amount of damage between them, with Miscreated Monster making sure Razin stayed alive. It's fairly straightforward. It does require negative affinity, and this works at all different stages as well, guys, just by putting in a different negative affinity tank. And they will always target that. The more tricky ones are obviously Void, where this strategy doesn't quite work because of that. Then we've got another option, which is the freeze and HP burn option. So this variant is a little bit more difficult to set up, especially depending on what champions you have available to you. Ideally, you need an AoE HP burn. Someone like Ignatius is absolutely awesome, or Ultimate Gaelic's really, really good. I think Ultimate Gaelic's probably the one of the only epics that can actually do this. Then you want an AoE freeze, such as Shiramani, or that new champion that I can't remember his name, Atriog or something like that, whatever it's called. And then ideally, stuns and things like that. The ideal behind this is you're basically going to let the spider kill itself by placing out the HP burns. You'll see what I mean in just a second. So Ignatius is going to come in there, big HP burn, and then hopefully Shiramani / Miscreated Monster are going to basically stun the wave up. Now, what you don't want to do here is do too much damage to the actual spiderlings. You want to try and keep these guys alive as long as possible. So we get the shields go up, we get the freeze go up, and now every time one of these spiderlings take a move, we are going to be chunking down that HP of the main spider. Now, with Ignatius, it's a little bit tricky because he also places that provoke. Ideally, you might not want that, but it's still a very, very, very good shout. And again, having that negative affinity tank, such as Razin in there, is going to lead them towards that. Otherwise, they target Shiramani. Shiramani's a lot squishier overall. So having them target Razin is actually quite helpful with this strategy, employing this HP burn. Now, again, you want to be able to keep your team alive. Miscreated Monster is great at doing that with shields and things like that. If not, having that turn meter control on the main spider, someone such as Arminger again, Coldheart, Allure, anyone, maybe not so much Allure because of the way that her turn meter reduction targets, but keeping that main spider's turn meter down is absolutely huge. You really don't want him healing, or if he does heal, you don't want him healing too many times. So just getting that HP burn down and let them kill themselves. We'll have a little look back at the end. So as you can see on that one, took about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. Miscreated Monster come in there with lots and lots of shields. But if I move myself slightly out of the way, you will see Ignatius with his HP burn, 11 million damage. Literally, that HP burn every time one of the spiders moved or attempted to move, them chunking them down. Obviously, the freezes come into play, as many stuns as you can. Even if you don't have maybe Shiramani, maybe someone like Skull Crown or Sinisha in a stun set would be able to help you there. Just basically not allowing the spiders to move, but when they do try and move, they take that massive damage for the main spider. That's probably one of the easiest setups to get going when you're first going into Spiders 20. Now, last but not least, my personal favorite, the Big Nuke. So the Big Nuke is a different beast altogether. This requires a very specific set of champions. Basically, what we're going to be doing in here is going in, applying the buffs to ourselves, sorry, the debuffs to ourselves with Gerptuck, allowing our big AoE hitters to do even more damage. Then Ghostborn is going to be coming in here, placing a decreased defense down and giving us an attack up. Ideally, we'd want defense down and weaken on the enemy, but giving that attack up type of makes up for it. Then we are going to go into Septimus to 2 Royal Guards, back to back to back death. Miles easier once you've got the champions. Don't get me wrong, this is definitely towards the fine-tuning of Spider without a shadow of a doubt. So let's see how this one plays out, and it should be over relatively quickly in about 14.5 seconds. So Spiders come down, Gerptuck goes, Bosch. Then all of a sudden we place the defense down. Massive hit from Septimus, massive hit from Royal Guard, another massive hit from Royal Guard. JD, job done. Thank you very much. So those are your ways of getting around the spider, guys. There's lots of different finicky ways that you can do these things. There's lots of little champions that you can use. Ideally, probably the easiest one to set up is going to be that negative affinity tank while controlling that turn meter. Great champions for this: Coldheart, Arminger, Apothecary. All of these guys will do great things for you overall. Royal Guards, Septimus is for your big hitters, Coldheart again for your big hitters, and then you want to be looking at things that supply the most support for your champion. Miscreated Monster, Sir Nick, those big shields are absolutely critical if you're going to go down the negative affinity route. But hopefully, guys, that has given you a rough idea on what to look for Spider, and understanding it a little bit better. Guys, I hope the video has helped. If it has, do me a massive favor, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. If you want to see more Raid Shadow Legends content, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, turn them notifications on. Discord links are down below, live stream links are down below, all that type of good stuff. But until next time, be smart, be strong, be safe, and I'll see you on the flip side. You take it easy.